What's up, everybody? I hope everybody's well. Thank you so much for checking out this video. Appreciate it. Make sure you subscribe, hit the like button, all that kind of good stuff. So today I wanted to talk about my vacation. No, I'm just playing. I am on vacation, workcation, staycation, vacation, enjoying life. You're gonna hear some people busting some suds and playing some dishes in the background, but don't mind that. About to go for a dip in a little bit. It's hot. So anyway, so I want to talk about some of the stuff that's been going on that I've been seeing a troubling trend with, and that's ladies giving some horrible advices, giving some horrible advice, and it's really troubling to me because this is problematic to us as a culture, and I think that we're seeing far too many ladies, far too many people giving horrible advice instead of listening to good advice. We got a lot of aunties out here, and I'm talking about who we are looking up to, right? Obviously, the musicians and all that kind of stuff are always going to come to the forefront, but there's some people out here who are giving some terrible, terrible advice. I'm going to play some videos, probably string them back to back so you can understand exactly where I'm coming from. And I want to string that, and I want to give that in comparison to some of the good advice that's going on out here. Some of the good advice, you know. When Felicia Rashad, who was the mother, the all-time auntie on the Cosby Show, was talking about, what people are wearing, and obviously I didn't play the whole thing, or I'm only going to play a clip of it. Excuse me, I'm only going to play the audio because of copyright. I always get copyrighted when I play stuff from the Breakfast Club, so I'm not even going there. So when she gives her advice, when Monique gives her advice, two sage pieces of advice. One is about wearing bonnets, our collective image, and then she gives the advice to Shannon Sharp. We all know how that turned out. He didn't listen. This is the advice that far too many of us are ignoring and not going along with.
To my young ladies in your early 20s, late 30s, and you have went to college and you like, I got to be married by 30. Stop. Get off that clock. Take you some time, travel the world, sleep with every man that make your pussy purr. I mean, sleep with them. Sleep with them quick. Get that on out. Get it out you. And if your body don't respond negatively, keep him around. Keep him around so you keep your sleep number low. But if you have been sexually traumatized and you have not gotten the proper help, don't get married in your early 20s, late 30s. Don't get married at that time, because you will be an earth disturber and you and this man will not make it. So fuck everybody you can. Get married when you want to, respectfully.
Hey, my sweet babies. So, it took me a minute to say what I'm getting ready to say because I want to make sure I'm not saying it in judgment, and I want to make sure I'm saying it from a place of love. Y'all, some of y'all have given me the title of auntie, and I'm honored that y'all do that, right? But there are times where auntie got to talk to her babies and say some real shit. So, yesterday, I was in the airport in Atlanta because I'm in Jackson, Mississippi now at Chuckles Comedy Club, right? And we got 3 shows tonight. We got a matinee at 5:30, then we got 7, then we got 10, right? And I'm excited. I always love going to the stage. So when we got to the airport yesterday, I was excited, like, all right, baby, let's go get them in Jackson, Mississippi. And as we began to walk through the airport, I saw so many, actually too many to count and too many for me to tap. But I saw so many of our young sisters in head bonnets, scarves, slippers, pajamas, blankets wrapped around them, and this is how they're showing up to the airport. And I've been seeing it, not just at the airport, I've been seeing it at the store, at the mall. I've been seeing sisters showing up with these bonnets and headscarves and their slippers. And the question that I'm having to you, my sweet babies, when did we lose pride in representing ourselves? When did we step away of, let me make sure I'm presentable when I leave my home? Let me make sure I'm representing the family I created so that if I'm out in the street, I look like I have pride in myself. And I'm not saying no full face of makeup. I'm not saying no full front lace frontal. I'm not saying none of that. All I'm saying is, could you please comb your hair? And if you don't want to comb your hair, they got enough shit out here now, baby, where you can style yourself up and look like you have pride. I'm not saying you don't have pride, but the representation that you're showing, someone would have to ask you to know that you had it.
Came up in an era, Miss Rashad, where dignity and grace were everything. So do you ever look at how wild Hollywood is now and you just think to yourself, boy, y'all got it easy. Y'all wouldn't have got away with that in my day.
Yeah, you'd have to look at Hollywood. I could look at the way young ladies dress. Something has happened in popular culture. Mm. You know, and I don't mean to be critical, and I hope young ladies listening don't take this as personal criticism, because I don't mean it that way. Mm-hmm. But you're young queens, beautiful and smart and brilliant and bright. And it really, I know I'm taken aback when I see on a college campus young women dressed in strips of clothing. Mm-hmm. I mean, male instructors don't like it. But more importantly than that, and you'd correct me if I'm wrong, sir, mm-hmm. No man wants his woman to be out like that.
Leave something to the imagination.
Yeah. It would be nice.
Some things are for my eyes only, you know?
Yeah.
Come on. They talk to us. How this dating thing. Because this is Mo is different now than when you and I.
It's different, baby. I'm grateful I'm not 56 and trying.
Are you trying to say what you trying to say? Mo,
I'm looking right at you.
I know you looking at your
I ain't backing down. You better take your old ass and get somebody to love you.
Damn, Mo.
Now I'm looking right at y'all. Let me tell y'all what Shannon needs.
Let me live my life.
Let me tell you what my baby needs. He need him an old fat gal who can bake good cakes, make some smothered turkey wings, who gonna rub his feet at the nighttime, okay, and gonna have a sip of his cognac to make him feel better about himself when he come home at night. That's what Shannon needs. You don't need no 26-year-old girl. You don't need no 36-year-old girl.
I do.
This is your auntie talking to you. Take your old ass and get you an old bitch out there that can love you old. You're trying to hang out with these young bitches and you can't do it, Shannon. You just can't do it. Damn. When they want you to go for the 4th round, you looking at her like, bitch, listen, I need you want some money to go to Starbucks?
Yeah,
because I can't go no further. But if you get your older girl, when you get to that 4th round, she's going to say, hold on. Let me go get you some eggs and cheese and some toast with apple butter, because that's going to get your energy back up.
And so there's another sister up here I want to play who's also giving advice, and no one's listening. Well, I can't say no one's listening. So I need the aunties out there to step up and do their part. I know my friend Auntie Anita's doing her part, and there's a couple of other ladies that I saw trying to do something, trying to make a difference. And I know I usually address the men on this channel and trying to tell them to level up and be the best version of themselves and stop looking at what other people are doing, stop blaming other people and get yourself together. And that's still my message, still going to be my message moving forward. However, we got to have a conversation about the aunties because we feed off of each other. Had another conversation with another auntie that I would call Be Mindful. We had a good conversation just talking about us feeding off of each other. My masculinity is rewarded by the presence of a woman. In the same way, we have to start rewarding as men, rewarding the femininity that is exuded by the ladies by our presence. But our presence in their life is oftentimes negated by the current environment that we live in. You know, they don't have to be. It's unfortunate that their femininity is not seen as a positive, right? They have in certain circumstances, when they enter the workforce and when they're bossing up and doing whatever, they're entering in so-called the masculine. It's debatable to me, but this is what the narrative is. And, so they don't see the need for men a lot of times in their life. Thus, you get the sister out there who's saying, why be chaste? Why be, someone who's going to save yourself? Just run around out here and just sleep with whoever is making your kitty cat purr, or whatever she said. This is the advice. I always feel like that Killmonger scene when he beats T'Challa in Black Panther. Is this your king? This y'all the one looking up to, right? These your queens? Are these your queens?
Is this your king? Huh? Is this your king?
Right? These sexy reds and ladies out here telling you to go sleep around and then get married later on, as if any quality man is going to want to just wipe you up after you've been quote unquote ran through. I mean, there's some bad advice going on out here. Bad advice. There is some bad advice going on out here. And we got to get it together as a collective community. We have to really come together and really figure this thing out. It's what we're doing, how we're living, who we're going to live with, how we're going to make it, how we're going to come through, what's going to be our standard, right? We're suffering from a gross lack of morality, values, and ethics. Inappropriate, just complete abandonment of morals, values, and ethics. And it's just crazy. It's just crazy. I couldn't imagine doing this. Felicia Rashad telling you how to dress, Monique telling us about the bonnets, and this one sister telling us, now it's just one, but now what would make me go on this rant like this, right? So just seeing the outcomes of what we're dealing with. As I'm traveling, going to more conservative countries and all that, seeing so much. And there is such a negative input from our community in degeneracy, in lewdness, and rudeness, and how we talk to our kids and how our kids talk to us, a lack of disciplined parenting. It's showing me who we're listening to, showing me who we value, what we're doing with our time and our energy and our attention. And if we don't get it together, we will be a lost community, we will be a lost culture. And if you get out and you just see the world, you'll understand that culture matters. You'll understand that people have pride in their cultures. It's not about things and stuff. I think for far too long, our community has put too much emphasis on things and stuff. And as long as we're focusing on the bags and the cars and the rents and the trips and this and that, and we're never focused on fixing our families, fixing our communities, fixing our own personal lives, and not establishing again, solid good culture, uplifting culture, positive culture, not establishing those types of things, we're always going to be behind. And there's no reason why we should be behind. From our economic standpoint, to the gains that we've made through the civil rights movement, to all these different things. And now look what has dragged us down. We have allowed the few to drag us down. And this is a shame. It's embarrassing. And we all ought to be ashamed and embarrassed by the things that are going on. So I want to drop this and say, who are you listening to? We're getting bad advice, and we got to get it together, man. We got to follow people who are great. And I was listening to something. I can't remember her name off the top of my head. I ended up subscribing to her. I think her name is Michelle something. I'll put it on the screenshot up. And she went on this epic rant. She went on an epic rant. And what she said was, you got, at least it was in the comments. I think it was a guy who said it on her channel, I think. And she of course agreed with it, and I agree with it too. Having grown up in church, seeing all this different stuff that we see in the church, one of the reasons that people stop going to church, stop trusting in the word of the pastor, stop having confidence in the pastor, et cetera, is because of the craziness and nonsense that's going on in the church. And so we got first ladies. This is a channel that they're trying to get women to be women and to become wives one day. And she was saying that, the guy on the panel on her show was saying, one of the reasons the guys stop going to church is because they see these first ladies in the church. Now, the pastor of the church, will marry somebody who's never been in the church, never grew up in the church, just some girl he met at the club or met at the grocery store, or he saw her somewhere, thought she was beautiful, thought she was make a stellar first lady as far as presentation, but she had no substance, she had no church etiquette, any of those types of things that people are looking for. And that was important because the women who are going to look up to the first lady, that's the title first lady, you're going to look up to her, Michelle Obama. People are going to look up to her and say, this is what I need to aspire to. This is what I need to be like. And this is where I need to go. How I need to move, how I need to talk, how I need to cross my legs, how I need to treat my husband, how I need to treat my kids, how I need to move in the world, what type of job do I have, what kind of aura and presence I put off. And if the ladies in the church are seeing seeing the pastor of the church go out here and select somebody who was quote unquote unchurched, you can say what you want about this, but I think this is deep. How can you expect the ladies in the church to act? Because this is the pastor of the church has chosen someone who doesn't hold to our morals, ethics, and values. Let me say it again. The pastor of the church is choosing someone. And I have a good friend who told me this exact story. This is why it resonated with me, because he told me that he moved to a certain place. His first lady of the church, I'm not going to say who it is. So the first lady of the church was in and out. She was wishy-washy. She wasn't really quote unquote sage, if you use that terminology. And, what does that do to the congregation? Because again, the pastor of the church selected this woman. The people in the church see his selection. He's a godly man. He's supposed to be upright, led by the Lord, steps of a good man are ordered by the Lord, all this other kind of stuff. And this is the type of woman that he's choosing. So I'm going to be that type of woman. And so therefore you get women becoming that type of woman, of woman. You got the young sisters in the church emulating her behavior, in and out, wishy-washy. And by in and out, I mean she wasn't going to church for months, maybe a year or two. He got to go get her, got to explain where his first lady's at. That may not have happened if he had married someone who was already church and all that kind of stuff. Now, I'm not going to go through a whole dissertation. I'm talking about the aunties that we're looking up to. This is what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the people that you're looking up to, and who is it that is influencing your life. And again, and I believe this, that we are feeding off each other. My masculinity is determined by your presence, is rewarded at least by your femininity and presence of a woman in my life, vice versa. So if the man in the church who is deemed the head of the church is selecting for less feminine, less cooperative, street, still hugging and loving and thugging in the street type of women, what are the women in the church going to do? And so now we have a complete domino effect of a collapse of morality. So I thought that was good that they brought that up. I had never really thought about it, even though when my friend told me the story, and he told me the story a couple of years ago, it really kind of resonated. And I really kind of just put that together. It's like, yeah, you know what? This is true. You don't realize what that does. And so again, you've got these aunties not listening to Felicia Rashad and not listening to, excuse me, not the aunties. You got these younger girls out here not listening to Felicia Rashad. And remember when Monique did her bonnet thing, people were making fun of it. They were clipping it out and putting it on YouTube and different places, taking pictures of themselves out in public with bonnets on to spite her, to say, I don't care what anybody says. So where do we get this attitude from? Where do we get this rebellious spirit from? And that is, not that I want to be too churchy and all that, but that is definitely the definition of a rebellious spirit. Here's an auntie, an elder, a leader in the church, and a leader in the community, so-called, trying to tell you all how to present yourselves so you don't get, and that sage advice means something, because when you walk into grocery stores, when you walk into the bank, when you walk into the police station, when you walk into school and you got clothes on that are completely inappropriate, whether it's pajamas or whether it's V-cut stuff or hoochie daddy, hoochie mommy shorts, just even if you're a teacher dressing this way, you're doing all this kind of stuff because the people are not checking you. And the people who are trying to check you, all you're saying is, who can check me? Boo. Who gonna check us? I'll never forget the video. I can't find the photo. I haven't seen it since. I hope I didn't imagine it, but I could have sworn that, years ago, I saw, maybe a year or two ago, I saw a caption, pretty sure it was on Instagram, of a couple of ladies sitting in first class talking about, we on our way to France or to Paris with our bonnets on, and who gonna check us? Nobody can tell you nothing. And the people who love you, who are trying to be role models, either aren't good ones, or you're just not listening. So So I just want to drop this. Let me know your thoughts, your opinions. Am I wrong about this? Am I right about this? Unless we all got to do better. Listen, don't get in my comments talking about, get on the men or whatever. I get on the men plenty enough, trying to make them the best version of themselves. And we gotta find different role models out there, right? You can't go after these role models who are dragging us down. And the sad thing is, you don't even realize it. If you are getting talked to crazy at work, if you are getting talked to crazy when you enter restaurants, I'm not making this to dump. I'm not making this to dump. I'm saying that there's a problem that people are seeing, from the waiters to servers to the teachers to, when you walk into a school and you want to argue with the teacher because your son got an F, because your son got arrested, because your son is failing, because your son is trying to swear at the teachers, all this kind of stuff. And then you want to talk to them. And the people who are trying to correct you, you don't want to listen to them. You don't want to listen to them. That's why a lot of times I have ladies on my show. Not because I don't. There's a lot of guys I want to interview. There's a lot of guys I want to interview. But I want to have ladies on there so that you can hear from the ladies. So it doesn't sound like a dude is dumping on the ladies. So, all right, that's it. Let me know your thoughts, your opinions. Hit me in the comment section. Let's keep the conversation going. I just want to make this, and I hope this is going to be uplifting. And I'm not making it to tear anybody down. Just we got to do something about the community and all that. So we got to do it. We got to fix it. It can be fixed, but we got to get our communities together. And before we get our communities together, I think that we got to get our heads together and figure out what our moral compass is actually pointing to. We got to figure that out. So let me know your thoughts. Let me know your opinions. Hit me in the comment section. Much love and peace.